Grace and peace, family. Grace and peace. Assalamu alaikum. Shalom. My name is Vicki Dillard, and I'm a proud contributor right here on FlyNubianQueenTV.com, the network for melanated women just like you. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the podcast today. We are so pleased that you are with us. I am typically here weekdays, 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Thank you for joining us today. We have something I believe quite interesting to discuss. And I am looking forward to sharing this information with you today. We're going to be talking about a post that I saw from a Black female influencer who is a good sister, actually, which I won't get into names, that sort of thing today, because I want to talk about the principle of what was said versus, rather than anything else. And so I found a comment that she made kind of fascinating that she posted. But before we go there, before I get into that, as you come in, a little bit of housekeeping. Thank you for being patient with me as we do a little bit of housekeeping. As you come in, please come in giving us the thumbs up. Please like, please share. Also, family, please make sure that you text the word Queens to 31996 so that you're able to receive phone notifications when we go live from time to time. Also, I wanted you to know that we have an amazing store. Yes, a store where you can receive all types of wonderful products, Black products, t-shirts that said "Talk Black to Me." You can get other encouraging, uplifting shirts that really have mantras to live by on them. Again, that's shop FNQ. I didn't even say it, did it? Go to shopfnq.com. That's shopfnq.com. That's our store. And one more thing, very quickly. The other thing that I want to let you know about is going to flynubianbusiness.com. If you are interested in receiving insight as to how you can get going, starting your own business, some folks call it a side hustle, please check us out at flynubianbusiness.com. No time better than the present. I know some folk, tens of millions of folk are out of jobs right now. Shout out to you, Derek, for your gift. Love you back, beloved. I bless your gift 1,000-fold. I know there's a whole lot of folk, tens of millions of Americans that are out of work. And how fortuitous those who have multiple streams of income, especially if you are self-employed, you have your own business or something to that nature, something of that nature. So very important. So family, I want to read you this post. And then when I read you this post, I want to share with you today what some of you had to say. Now, I want to start this show off. You all know that we're in the court of Vicki because our words matter. Somebody talk Black to me. What we say, Black family, matters. And it's important. This is a symbol. This is a symbol of that. But not only that, you guys have really sounded off when I was reading some of the comments, because I specifically put this particular article up and I asked you all to comment on it. And let me just say, the people spoke. I'm going to say that again. I said the people spoke. You all spoke. And I'm telling you, I'm not going to lie. Y'all had me giggling. You all had me giggling for a while on a lot of this, and gave me some insight, certainly. But I was laughing so hard because so many of you all were right on point with your perspectives. And I wanted to hear what the Black family had to say about that. Now, let's get ready to get into what was said. Now, as I'm pulling this up, You all know I'm working my little stuff here. Somebody talk black to me. Y'all know I'm doing what I do. I'm no tech. I'm no person or whatever, but I'll do the best that I can. And I thank you all so much for your patience as I get it together. And I'm going to also, while I'm doing this in just a second, not right now, I want to invite some of our other family to join us here in just a moment. Now, listen to this. I know that's right. Talk black to me. That's all I know. Y'all know that's all I know. That's all I know, black family. Yes, ma'am. But anyway, family, so listen to this. Listen to this. I want you to hear this post that I'm getting ready to get right now, but I want you to keep a couple of things in mind before I go there while I'm kind of working two different things at one time. And the first thing I want you to keep in mind, first thing I want to say, this is kind of a side note, but I don't want us to forget this. This is important to me. This reminder of our brothers and sisters that are behind bars. I want to say shout out to my brothers and sisters that are behind bars. And I want to specifically send a shout out for those that may know or hear or find out that my sisters who are in Carswell, you know who you are. I want you all to know that Vicki Dillard loves you. She remembers you. She's shouting you out. And we're believing for change on behalf of those of you all that are out there, our black family. And they are our family. They're my family, even if some of you all don't want to claim them. And I say we can do this hashtag as well. Free political prisoners, free black political prisoners, and then free all black prisoners. Lord have mercy. Somebody black talk black to me. Did y'all hear what I said? I said free all black political prisoners and free all black prisoners, period. Why? I didn't say this. I didn't say this. I'm not the one that started this, but this is very insightful. This is very insightful. Watch this. Because the whole damn system is guilty. Did you hear what I said? When we say that the whole damn system is guilty, black family, we're talking about it when I'm speaking about it, I'm speaking about it from a divine judgment. Are y'all hearing me today? I'm speaking from a divine judgment position. You all remember when the great Reverend Wright, who Obama dissed and disrespected, Lord have mercy, he distanced himself from him and disrespected him and Minister Louis Farrakhan in order to appease white folk? Do you all remember when the great Reverend Dr. Reverend Wright says, "God damn America"? How many of y'all remember that? Y'all remember that? He was saying, "God damn America." He was speaking as a prophet. He was speaking along the lines of those of our elders and frankly, no ancestors and prophets and sages that had the power to damn or to pronounce judgment upon a people or upon a nation that was unrighteous, that was going contrary to freedom, justice, and equity. Are y'all hearing me today? Reverend Wright was not being inappropriate or ratchet in his comments. He was being spiritual. He was being godly. And that's what I mean when I say that the whole damn system is guilty. The systems, from the prosecutors to some of even the public pretenders. I'm not saying all of them, but enough of them. To the judges, to the politicians, to the president. The system is working the way it was meant to. The system is working the way it was designed to. That means against us. Somebody talk black to me. Are y'all hearing me today? Shout out to you, Diddy, for your gift. I bless your gift 1,000 woman. Thank you so much for supporting Black media. Now watch this. So I first of all, I wanted to shout out our Black brothers and sisters behind bars, because you know what? Folk feel like that they have the right to kill them, especially during coronavirus. People act like they have the right to kill our folk because of coronavirus. And do you all know, especially in the jails, that a majority of the folk, many of the folk that are in the jails have not been found guilty. Some of them are there for traffic stops or other things that are not violent. Some of them are waiting for their court date and they are stuck there. How many of you all know that while they're waiting for their court date, and if they were rich, they wouldn't be there? That's how you know that the American justice system is really the American injustice system. Let me just say this real quick, because it's important that we remember these. We're getting ready to get on our topic. Shout out to you, Rock, for your gift. Rock says, preach. Y'all hear me? But we say no. We know that this prison industrial complex is the new plantation, and no free-thinking, intelligent Black person would ever say no, they deserve to be there in terms of the majority of our people, without taking into account the injustice system that entrapped us in the first place. You don't jump to us and talk about what responsibility we ought to have because we got tricked out. Some of them got especially tricked out, and you don't hold the open enemy, the one that's responsible for the injustice, the system in the first place. You don't want to hold them accountable, but because you feel like they're too powerful for you, and because you know you don't wield any authority over them, you want to turn around and tell Black folk everything that they ought to do. That's the same way Van Jones, for example. I've been giving him the business days ago. I was one of the first ones on Twitter. By the way, y'all follow me on Twitter at Dillard Vicky. Y'all, I know I'm something else on Twitter. But when he did that little, what did he do the other day on CNN? Him and Charles Barkley and Don Lemon on there talking about COVID-19 and Black folk, the color of COVID, and trying to tell Black folk that we need to eat right and blaming us for diabetes and high blood pressure and all that. And you all know, I believe in you taking your herbs, your fruits and vegetables. We have to do better with our bodies, Black family, because we know that our open enemy will try to take us out in no limit of time and don't think nothing else about it. However, you all are really trying to blame us for COVID-19. When all these white folks was dropping dead left and right all throughout the world, nobody was sitting there talking about their pre-existing condition and blaming Black folk on a white network. Lord have mercy. Go sit your funny looking self down somewhere. Meanwhile, you coming to us with a sledgehammer, Van Jones. And I appreciate the work that he's doing in prisons. I give him a shout out for that. He's not altogether terrible. Maybe just 95%. I'm being funny. Somebody talk Black to me. Y'all know I'm being funny on some of that. Listen. Because I'm not here to throw away all the good stuff he does, especially when it comes down to the prison industrial complex. But at the same time, what I'm trying to say to you, don't use a sledgehammer with Black folk to put us in check when you're using your little kid gloves to deal with our 465-year-old open enemy who is responsible for our oppression and our devastation and our destruction and our torture and our death and murder in the first place. That's all I'm saying. I'm saying that your criticism is disproportionate. Shout out to you, Melanated Queen, for your gift. You that same Van Jones that's around here bragging about Trump and the Republican Party, but you want to sit here and put a sledgehammer down on Black folk who's trying to keep our head above water and stop being killed for nearly 5 centuries. Lord have mercy. The fact that we're still here is a miracle. You want to be tough and rough with us, but like Obama want to talk crazy and paternalistic to Black folk when he was in office. But the white gangsters who were responsible for tanking the entire economy here in the United States and around the world, the real criminal, Wall Street and congressional thugs that were responsible for the worst recession that the country had experienced since the beginning of the 20th century. You was real weak and manless. Lord have mercy. That's from the dictionary. Somebody tell the people in the chat what a dictionary, what the dictionary is. Give me a second, family. I'm fixing to invite some other family in real quick. Did y'all hear what I said? Did y'all hear what I said? And on the count of 3, family, for those of you that haven't, please hit the thumbs up button. Are you ready? Are you ready? 1, 2, 3. Thumbs up. Thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up. Thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up. Please hit that notification bell, Black family. When you do that, you help to draw other folk into our podcast. And how many of you all know that you are the ones that help to broadcast and increase and enlarge and elevate our voice? Shout out to you, Teresa. Yes, we're using alternative means to get our voice out there. And isn't it funny, family, that the very means that we use, that some folk talk down to us about, they're the ones that's dominated. They're going live every day during Corona, huh? When you're watching the mainstream news channels, most of the folk that you're watching are using a device similar to mine. Somebody talk black to me. They're broadcasting and stuff from their kitchens and stuff. Little offices and everything. Little makeshift little studios and stuff. I ain't mad at you. I'm just trying to say that they're doing what they have to do to get the message out now. Just like we've been doing that for some time now. By the way, family, get your beautiful mug, your shirt, and other apparel from from our store at shopfnq.com. That's shopfnq.com. Shopfnq.com. Thank you so very much. Now let's get into it. Okay, so Vicki, what's the problem, Vicki? I want to say shout out to our flynubianqueen.com family. My name is Vicki Dillard, and I'm broadcasting from flynubianqueentv.com. I'm here weekdays, 6:30 p.m. Eastern time. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much for joining us, flynubianqueentv.com, flynubianqueen.com family. Now watch this. Y'all listen to this. Y'all ready now? Thank you for your patience as I remembered our brothers and sisters behind bars. They're worth remembering. Now watch this. Watch this. This is what I posted earlier today. So let me just say this. Again, this sister who's an actress, she's a Black influencer. I won't say her name because she and her husband do some good things. I just feel like that this post was problematic in more ways than one. And I'm going to tell you why in a minute. Again, I don't want to throw away everything that this particular person has done. That's not what I'm trying to do. My goal is not to attack her personally on this, but I want to deal with this ideology. I want to deal with the mindset of this, the sentiment that was expressed in this article. Hey, Freddie, Beverly, Latanya, and Zane, shout out to each of you. Shout out to each of you and welcome to the Vicki Show. Now watch this. So this sister posted this. I don't know if you all can see it or not. I'm going to try to make it to where you can see it on this device. This is what she posted recently. Can you all see that? Again, family, as you come in, my name is Vicki Dillard. As you come in, please come in, giving us a thumbs up, thumbs up. Be sure to like, be sure to share. I'm your sister with the curly braids right here on flynubianqueentv.com. We thank you for liking, sharing, and commenting. Did you all see that? This is what I posted on my Instagram page. By the way, you can follow me on Instagram at Vicki X Dillard. You can follow me on Instagram at Vicki X Dillard. You said, is that mug new? I'm not sure how new it is. I've had it for just a month or so now. Get yours at shopfnq.com. Now listen, this is what it says for those of you that didn't get to really see it very well. She says in her post, I don't understand why staying home is so hard. Of course, you all know that she's talking about the COVID-19, how many of us, we're staying home because there are orders in our states and counties and so forth about stay-at-home orders, right? So this is what she's speaking about in the context of this COVID-19, to where some folks are really getting antsy and they're sick of being home and they want the restrictions lifted, right? So she says, I don't understand why staying home is so hard. 105 million of you managed to do it on election day in 2016. Did y'all hear that? Shout out to you, Miss Amazon, for your gift. She said, you speak power. You are a blessing. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your kind words, and thank you for supporting Black media. So the sister said, I don't understand why staying home is so hard. 105 million of you managed to do it on election day in 2016. Now, let me tell you, of course, there are about, 330 some odd folk in this entire country. That means all people, right? Black folk make up about 13 to 15% of the population. Shout out to you, Candy, for your gift. Queen, it's always a pleasure to hear your voice and get this knowledge. Preach, Vicky, preach. Thank you, beloved, for your kind words. And thank you for supporting Black media. Listen. So she says, I don't understand why staying home is so hard. 105 of you managed to do it on election day in 2016. This kind of thinking, this type of comparison is very problematic, in my opinion. It's very problematic and it's very troubling. Now, while she mentioned all of the American people, 105 folk that she says that managed to stay home for the 2016 election, she said this to a primarily Black audience. And because I'm familiar with some of her previous work, I'm sure, let me just say this. I believe, let me say it this way, based on information and belief, that there was a specific message for Black people. We know that there have been a whole lot of Black folk, especially a lot of Black establishment people, vote shaming us. Now, you know how everybody come out with all this kind of stuff down where they say you fat shaming, you know what I'm saying? You male shaming, you this shaming, everything is a shame. Everything is a shame. When people are trying to say this and that, everything, you fat shaming, you this shaming. When you telling the truth and you're using your head, you're using common sense, they want to turn around and make up something. Shout out to you, Rock You, for your gift. Shaking hands, hugs, and awards to our number one enemy. Absolutely, beloved. Listen. So let me say it like this. This is vote shaming. This is voter shaming to Black people. It's only targeted to one group of people. Have you all ever noticed that no pressure is ever put on the majority of white folk who showed up and voted? The racist, incredibly alleged racist and terrible businessman and thief, the chief thief. Have you all noticed that none of that kind of pressure is put on the individuals that actually showed up and voted for this food? Notice how there's never pressure on the individuals. The majority of this population that failed to show up and vote. Black folk, the Democratic Party in particular, they acknowledge that Black people, and they love to say Black women specifically, are the ones who are the most dependable voting bloc for the Democratic Party. Is that right, Black family? You hear all of the major networks talking about the fact that nobody can become president without understanding how essential the Black vote is. Is that right, y'all? Did you all hear what I just said? But the comment she made, don't get caught up in just the numbers. Get caught up in the message and the intent that was sent. I said she was targeting, it was mostly said to Black people because of where it was posted at. I told you I don't want to say the name right now because I'm not trying to throw the sister already all the way under the bus. I'm trying to deal with the sentiment, the vote shaming that comes from Black bootlicks and Black butter biscuits. This was a way to vote shame Black people. It reminded me of Angela Rye not too long ago. How many of you all know that not too long ago, Angela Rye, during the execution of our brother recently, I'm trying to remember his name. If somebody remembers a brother who was recently executed, actually he wasn't executed. He's executed. The brother who we signed petitions for, we gave a lot of attention to him. Somebody help me remind me of our brother's name, where we really all came together. Many of us came together in order to denounce the state for getting ready to murder our brother. Shout out to you, ERC 355, for your gift. I love your CC Winans look. Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. Somebody remind me of our brother whose execution we helped to stop. Nathan Woods. Somebody put that in the chat. Thank you, Black family. I know I'm talking to intelligent Black people. Well, how many of you all know? Okay, that was that one situation. Okay, let me go back to the other one. Who was the other one that just recently got executed? Who was the other one that was recently executed? The one that was recently executed after that, that was the original name that I was looking for. I'm sorry. The one that was actually executed. Somebody put his name, Nathan, in here. Thank you. But the brother that ended up being executed, watch this. How many of you all remember when that took place? Well, Angela Rye, if somebody can put the name in the chat for me, Rodney Reed. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Angela Rye put out a post and asked if we were mad about his death. And if we were mad about his death, she said that we should have voted. And she broke down the numbers that if more folk had voted, that particular individual that was responsible for giving him the death sentence or stopping it, the governor, they would not have been in office. So you see how Black folk like to find a way to continuously put pressure on Black people and blame us for everything. We who have been the near 5-century victim, having survived and in some instances thrive, but we continuously deal with our open enemy endeavoring to disenfranchise and to murder us in one way or another. Folk find a way to blame us for it and tell us, if you had only done this a little bit more. Notice what these Black bootlicks say. What do they say? We got to keep fighting, right? How many of you know they say that? We got to keep fighting. We can't give up. Stand out there in them lines. Be late to go pick up your children. Yes, you might catch corona, but risk it. Yes, you might miss work. So what? Your ancestors died for your right to vote. Press on. Notice none of that pressure is ever put on the Asian community. I need somebody Black to talk Black to me. Notice none of that pressure is put on the Hispanic community like that. Notice that type of pressure is never put on white folk like that. Native people like that. Have you all noticed that? But they love and they feel like they have the right to make demands of the victims and the builders of this country. You haven't even paid us yet. You ain't even paid us yet. You haven't even ceased to oppress us and got the nerve to continuously expect us to save America from herself. I need somebody Black to talk Black to me. My sister asked in the description of her post, where is the lie? Don't forget what her post said. Her post says, I don't understand why staying home is so hard. 150 million of you managed to do it on election day in 2016. Of course, it doesn't make any sense. That's a day. And people didn't stay home the whole day. Folks was at work. Some of them, they just chose, I'm not going to vote. You cannot compare a global pandemic to you getting mad by free-thinking Black people who knows that the system of America has done absolutely nothing for us, and we choose to make the choice not to participate, seeing that we're getting nothing out of it. Let me tell you something. This is a place for intelligent Black people. Free-thinking Black people know that only a slave continuously does something for nothing. Somebody Black talk Black to me. Free-thinking Black people know that only a slave will do something solely for the interest of his oppressor, for her oppressor, and do nothing of benefit for themselves. We're not afraid of Donald Trump getting another term. We know that Donald Trump is tantamount to a devil. Donald Trump is a sign of the fall of America. Somebody talk Black to me. White folks saying that it's their job, that their number one issue is just to get Donald Trump out of office. That's their priority. That's not ours, Black family. You know why? You know why? Because we've been catching hell under both Democratic and Republican administrations. Is that true? Yes or no? Before we go any further, while you're answering that question in your comment section, yes or no, have Black folk been catching hell under both Democratic and Republican administrations? I just need you to answer that question for me. And while you're answering the question, some thumbs up, like and share after you do that. And please hit that notification bell. Again, my name is Vicki Dillard. You can follow me on Instagram at Vicki X Dillard. My website is MissVickiTV.com. That's MissVickiTV.com. MissVickiTV.com. Facebook is saying absolutely yes. And I see my other brothers and sisters saying yes, yes, yes. So for those of you that keep telling us that our job is to make sure that this Republican conservative Donald Trump isn't in office, as if that's our number one concern, baby, we're catching a lot of hell from both of them. So how is it that you can say that? We're not going to move on to the next part of the conversation whenever one of these bootlicks tell us that that's our number one job. We're going to say, okay, we're not going to go any further in this conversation until you can disprove to us that we have been catching hell under both administrations. Isn't it true that both the Democrats and the Republicans right now are refusing to give us reparations and cut the check? Yes or no, Black family? Yes or no, yes or no, yes or no, yes or no? Isn't it true that it is both Democrats, Elizabeth Warren included, Bernie Sanders included, Barack Hussein Obama included, your Democratic shields are the main ones that have openly and repeatedly been hostile and rejected paying their bills, paying their debt, giving us reparations. We always say this because I want this to be clear. Reparations for us is not philanthropy. It's not you giving us charity. It's not you being altruistic. It's you paying your debt. It's a justice claim. You stole us. You stole our labor. You benefited off of it and you did not pay your several century year old bill. Somebody talk Black to me. Neither one of you are talking about something specific for Black folk. I'm not talking about, oh, vote for this one because what they're going to do is going to benefit everybody. Baby, everybody that's going to be in office is going to do something that's going to benefit everybody but us. What we look like. It's time for us to do something radical. How many of you all know that we love to brag about Dr. King and our ancestors that were a part of the civil rights movement, and some of our elders, those that are still alive today, that participated in the civil rights movement in civil disobedience? We love to brag about the fact that they, in a nonviolent and civilized manner, broke the law because of how unjust the law was toward Black folk. We love to brag about them exercising a type of civil disobedience, right? Well, I want you all to know, us reserving our vote is a political move. Somebody talk Black to me. Us reserving our vote is similar to civil disobedience. Did you all hear what I just said? And seeing that we can prove in no limit of time that we've been catching hell under both Democratic and Republican administrations, you don't get to tell us nothing. We're not the dumb ones. You're the ones that look stupid. Shout out to you, Solo Dolo. He says, rest in power, Nathaniel Woods. Absolutely. Watch this. Let me move further. Watch this. Watch this. So we're rejecting this voter shaming. I'm not going to be before you long, but I'm going to do my best to be strong, as Dr. Collett would say. Watch this. So I was reading some of y'all's comments, and y'all sounded off. And some of these comments had me cracking up, and some of them were quite profound. Listen to this one. Listen to this. Someone said, let me get to it. I'm going to some of the comments that some of you gave your comments when I posted this earlier today. Don't forget what the post said. Remember, the post that was put up by this sister was, I don't understand why staying home is so hard. 105 million of you managed to do it on election day, right? Right? So somebody said this, and I'm talking about I was too through. This is profound to me. One of our supporters said this. They kill me wanting us to be loyal hound dogs. We ain't Benji, Ren 1010, Lassie or Rover. Ah! I was on the floor. Y'all, somebody talk black to me. This is intelligent black people speaking right here. Somebody said, Vicky, please teach in prisons. The prisons definitely. Beloved, I used to teach in prisons before, but until I had my own stint in the belly of the beast. And you all know how that is when they try to stop you from going back in. But beloved, in due course, if somewhere in the near future, as my health improves, and also if the doors open for me to go in there, I would love to go back. I used to teach in prisons many times. My program called Jailhouse Rock many, many years ago was approved by the state of Colorado, where I would go into women's detention facilities and teach. And God willing, I would love to do it again in the future. But right now, due to medical reasons and also obviously bureaucratic reasons, y'all hear me today, because of my legal connection with the system, I'm held up from going back in right now. But in due course, black family, in due course, watch this. Listen to the rest of this, y'all. I was too through. So when somebody saw that, and I thought this was so profound. They kill me wanting us to be loyal hound dogs. Isn't that what they want us to be, family? Somebody put a dog in the chat. Somebody say, we ain't y'all's dogs. We're not y'all hound dogs. Somebody black talk black to me. We're not your hound dogs. In fact, intelligent black people, they clearly, whoever made that comment, you know they watched the Vicky show. How many of you all know they watched the Vicky show? Because we give out what here? Don't we give out the bones here? Why do we show the bones here? I see you, Lorraine. Why do we give out bones on the Vicky show, amongst other things? We give out bones, baby, because y'all treat us like a dog. We give out bones here because black bootlicks, all they need is a bone. All they need is a little job. All they need is a little pat on the back and an addy boy and a cover and a sponsorship. And all you got to do, the sponsorships and that little check you give them, that's a bone for them. All you got to do is say, sit. And they sit. Give them the bone and they all right. Listen to what else y'all said. This is a place for intelligent black people. I love y'all. Listen. This comment had me cracking up. They said they kill me wanting us to be loyal hound dogs. We ain't Benji, Ren 1010, Lassie, or Rover. We don't have to get out and vote for people who could care less about our situation. As Miss Dillard would say, go sit your funny looking self down somewhere. Somebody talk black to me. Somebody talk black to me. Somebody put some hammers in the chat. Somebody put a Rover, a Ren 1010, a Lassie, and a Benji up in the chat, in the comment section. Somebody talk black to me. Watch this. Somebody else, Don Z, said, virus or not, no intangibles I think that means no tangibles. I can't speak for anybody else. I'm going to stay home again. I love that because that means this individual refused to be voter shamed. He just and he accepted. He didn't go and said, "Gonna do it again if you don't give us tangible." Y'all think we playing? I want you Democrats to know, and I want all of America to know that you all are in big trouble. We're not scared because we know that Donald Trump is a sign of the fall of America anyway. We know that Donald Trump is a savage. But you Democrats who refuse to have a black economic policy, you don't understand that you are hastening the doom of America. You are hastening the fall of America by your refusal to also do right by us. Are y'all hearing me today? The issue is not just that Donald Trump is a liar, that he's a savage, that he's a pervert, that he's a terrible businessman because he's a thief. He's a terrible human being, a terrible husband. Got a whole bunch of baby mamas, children all over the place and stuff. He's a racist. He called for the death of innocent black men. Watch this. It's not just that. It's not just that. You guys can't scare us with just that. That's not just the worst. That's not the worst thing. That's not the only bad thing that's manifested in America. Believe it or not, the thing that's just as bad as that in Trump is the rape and the murder and the destruction of me and my people, and your refusal to repair it and your refusal to cease and desist oppressing us today. See, in your mind, you guys want us to see a trouble and what's good and bad based on your measurement. Somebody talk black to me. What's that song that thief sang? Elvis. You ain't nothing but a hound dog. Crying dog. No, you the dog. You the hound dog. You Benji. You Rin Tin Tin. You that hound dog crying all the time, baby. That ain't us today, baby. We're giving out dog bones. We're not taking them. We're not eating them. We're saying to you that if you want to be serious about your appreciation for black folk, specifically to the Democratic Party, then you better come with a reparations program. You better come with a black economic policy. You better come cutting the check. If you're watching us on YouTube, please give us a thumbs up. If you're watching us elsewhere, be sure to like and share. Thank you so much. You're tuned into the Vicky Show. I'm broadcasting live from FlyNubianQueenTV.com. We have over 1,000 people in the chat here and hundreds more on our other platforms live. And we also know that our show sometimes is broadcast in other places. Wherever you're watching us from, we thank you so much for liking and sharing. You can follow me on Instagram at Vicky X Dillard and check out my website at MissVickyT.com. Watch this. Somebody else said this. They said, and we ain't going to vote in this upcoming election either unless reparations, black agenda, and the protection of the mistreatment of black people in this country under the law. They said FOH. Y'all know what that means, right? Watch this. Somebody else said this. Barack Obama was a wake-up call, which is true. Which is true. Somebody else, y'all had me crying on this. This one lady said, this one sister said, stop being programmed by propaganda. A brother said that. Stop being programmed by propaganda. Y'all hear that? Shout out to you all, intelligent black people. You refuse to be voter shamed. Now, this is what I want to remind you all of. Whenever they love to tell us that the ancestors, how many of you all know they'll tell us that they'll tell us that in a minute. The ancestors died for your right to vote. Don't they tell us that? Don't they tell us that if you don't vote, You are disrespecting the legacy of our ancestors, right? Don't they tell us that, Black family? I want to remind you all of something here. I want to remind you of something. How many of you all remember Stacey Abrams? How many of you all know Stacey Abrams? How many of you all know Stacey Abrams? While you are putting that in the chat, wasn't she the one that was running to be governor of Georgia, then lost? Is that right, family? How many of you all remember Stacey Abrams? She's an attorney. She's an intelligent Black woman who very likely would have been a pretty decent governor, especially if you compare her to the white supremacist that's in the office right now, right? Watch this. Stacey Abrams specializes in a lot of election laws and so forth. She really is an expert in that. She has an organization, notwithstanding how controversial it is, that works to ensure that it's not difficult for people to vote. Is that right? With an emphasis on Black people. Are y'all hearing me today? Well, how many of you all know, and I want to pull this up. I want to pull this up, and I may have given out the wrong link to this earlier. I didn't put it in the chat or anything like that, but I wanted my moderator to have it in advance. But watch this. How many of you all know that Stacey Abrams, who was running to be governor and who is an elections expert? How many of you all know, and I'm pulling up this CNN article. What does this say, family? What does it say? It says, Stacey Abrams says, democracy failed. Georgia as she ends bid for governor. Stacey Abrams says, democracy failed Georgia as she ends bid for governor. Stacey Abrams says, democracy failed. That's a quote. Democracy failed. Watch this. The article says this. Abrams was considering further legal challenges as recently as Friday morning. That's when this was written. I mean, at the time that she was running for office. She said she was considering further legal challenges, but ultimately made the decision to end her campaign in a fiery speech to supporters at her headquarters in Atlanta. She did, however, announce plans for a major federal lawsuit against the state of Georgia for the gross mismanagement of this election and to protect future elections from unconstitutional actions. So she's saying that there were unconstitutional actions and an extraordinary systemic attempt to suppress your vote. When you hear the word voter suppression, Black folks should even use the word voter suppression all the time. As soon as we hear the word voter suppression, we need to, out of the next breath, say voter theft. Somebody say voter theft. I'm quoting her now. So let's be clear. This is not a speech of concession. When she lost, you know how they call it concession speeches? Listen to what she says. She says, this is not a speech of concession, because concession means to acknowledge an act is right, true, or proper. She said, as a woman of conscience and faith, I cannot concede that. But my assessment is the law currently allows no further viable remedy. Now, I can certainly bring a new case to keep this one contest alive, but I don't want to hold public office if I need to scheme my way into the post. See, that's what her opponent did. He schemed his way into the post. She says, because the title of governor isn't nearly as important as our shared title, voters, and that is why we fight on. Abrams had previously described Kemp, that's who y'all's governor down there is apparently, as an architect of voter suppression. What did we say that really means? Voter theft. Shout out to you, Denise. And in her remarks said she had purposely made the process a gut-wrenching hardship for many in Georgia. Make no mistake, she says, the former Secretary of State, who's now the governor, was deliberate and intentional in his actions. I know that 8 years of systemic disenfranchisement, divestment, and incompetence had its desired effect on the electoral process in Georgia. So in other words, before he became governor, she talks about the fact that he, over 8 years as Secretary of State, the Secretary of State's office, deliberately, she says, and intentionally in his actions as Secretary of State, was engaged in systemic disenfranchisement, meaning taking away your ability, your power to engage politically. Disenfranchisement, she says, systemic disenfranchisement, divestment, and incompetence. She said that's over 8 years. And she said it had its desired effect on the electoral process in Georgia. In other words, she's telling you that the system is rigged. Now, isn't this fascinating? How the woman, Stacey Abrams, who is almost politically prostituting herself before Joe Biden for him to make her vice president, the same woman who ran to be the nation's first Black governor of a state, she got very, very close and believed actually she won, but because of his cheating and stuff. Watch this. My point in mentioning her as an expert in electoral law and as a accomplished attorney herself, isn't it fascinating how Black folks acknowledge systemic rigging of the system, how they acknowledge systemic Black voter theft. They acknowledge that the system is rigged. Nobody denies it. In fact, they confirm and affirm that it exists, but they want you to still keep participating in a known rigged system. Somebody talk Black to me. They want you to keep operating in the same way you operated before, with the full knowledge that the system is rigged. So we Black folk are trying to shift that. We Black folks are saying, hey, we're just not going to participate in a rigged system if the party that claims that they appreciate and loves us are not going to make sure that the proper elements are in place to ensure that our votes are actually properly cast. And number two, to ensure that they have a pro-Black economic policy for us to show up on. So because we're deciding to change up our strategy, see, intelligent people have strategy. Did y'all hear what I said? Intelligent people strategize. That's what we're doing by withholding our vote. We're saying that if you're not going to ensure that our votes count, what do you mean votes counting? Meaning making sure that the mechanisms are in place so our literal vote, once it's cast, is actually chronologically counted, numerically counted. That's the word I'm looking for. And number two, make sure that it counts in that you have a pro-Black economic policy. If you're not going to ensure us of that, what we look like, casting our votes, staying home is a strategy. Somebody give us a thumbs up, 1100 plus of you in the chat. Please like and share. Watch this. Watch this. You all know that I did a piece on Obama yesterday where I quoted him from the record, where he was absolutely against reparations, and he expressed more concern about what Latinos and what Asian Americans would think about us getting reparations, and them coming in now saying that they're first generational citizen and that they are poor and they feel that they're entitled to something. Obama expressed more concern about that than he did about us. I gave y'all the receipts on that. For those of you that missed it, make sure you check out flynubianqueentv.com, my podcast that I did yesterday with that title in it. Obama represents the Democratic Party. Obama was also pushed by liberals. You guys claim in that group to be the most tolerant people on the planet, but yet you do nothing for us and you remain hostile to doing what is right. Proof of how moral and righteous you are has everything to do whether or not you are going to push for reparations. How do we look back at a Bernie Sanders, an Elizabeth Warren, and anybody else, and all of their programs that they're putting forth are multi-trillion-dollar programs, making college free for everybody, wiping out the debt for college loans for everybody, making sure that everybody has health care, which I believe in everybody having health care. But you know, all of those programs are multi-trillion-dollar programs. You expect us to understand that, but you're not going to go out on a limb and put forth a multi-trillion-dollar program to make right the wrongs of America, to make right the original sin of America, which you can't ever fully make right. How many of y'all know that? But it's what's due to us. I don't think so, baby. I don't think so, baby. Black folk acknowledge that the system is rigged, just like Stacey Abrams. You cannot get Stacey Abrams, who is an attorney, who is an electoral expert, acknowledge that the system is rigged. I quoted you when she says democracy failed. That's a quote. Everybody all over the place acknowledges the constant attack on our vote and how the votes aren't even count. They don't even count in a lot of ways anyway. But they still want you to participate. How many of you all, I don't play checkers or all these other games. I don't play no games, board games or games in relationships or life. Watch this. But I know those that do. I know this much. And correct me if I'm wrong, Black family. Correct me if I'm wrong, Black family. But how many of you, as I'm saying this, family, make sure that you like and share. Text the word Queens to 31996 so that you can get on our phone list. Again, don't forget to connect with us at flynubianbusiness.com. If you want to start a business, if you want to start a side hustle, check out flynubianbusiness.com. Listen, answer me this, Black family, because I really need to know. Answer me this. How many of you all will engage in a game? Cynthia said no, no vote for me. Watch this. How many of you all will engage in a game that before you play, you get the heads up that the game is rigged, that the game is rigged. You get the heads up that your opponent is going to be cheating. Are y'all hearing me today? How many of you would knowingly play the game, knowing that the other side has the advantage and that they're going to cheat? You're telling me you're going to engage in a game and not call those individuals out? You mean to tell me that you're not going to call for a third party to oversee both sides? You mean to tell me you're just going to knowingly engage in something where you know that you're going to lose and another person is going to get an advantage? I need somebody Black to talk Black to me. Shirley, who said that? Lorraine Child said, sounds foolish. That's my point. Don't you look and sound foolish to knowingly involve yourself in something that everybody admits is rigged? That's what you guys want us to do. You know that the system is rigged. Watch this. You keep gerrymandering our districts. Gerrymandering, Black family, is about how your politicians, while you're hard at work, while you're raising your family, while you're living your very best Black life, they're in the halls of the U.S. Congress. They're in the halls of your state Congresses and your state legislatures and your local legislators. They're there remapping stuff. They're changing where the lines are drawn. Why? So that they can have an electoral advantage. While you working hard, you find out later on, oh, I'm a part of so-and-so's district now. How did this happen? You say, wait a minute, that don't make no sense. If you just walk over here, isn't this the same exact area? How is this making sense? It doesn't make any sense to you, but it makes sense to them because it's for electoral advantages. It's to disenfranchise you. Disenfranchise meaning to take away power from you. That's cheating. Jalo says, watching from Paris. Well, welcome to the Vicky Show. We're so pleased that you're with us. We are very aware that we're broadcasting throughout the United States and around the world. And so we welcome our global family. Listen, don't you look pretty stupid to engage in a game that you know is rigged and nobody, if you know that the game is rigged and you bring it to everybody's attention that so-and-so is planning on cheating, you would only participate in that game when you know that there have been some actions taken to ensure that there won't be any cheating. Is that right, family? You would make sure that there was a neutral third party that was there to check things out and to say that I'm going to overlook this thing. Is that right, family? You would find a disinterested party to ensure that everything is on the up and up. Is that right, family? What have they done to make sure that, number one, you should show up to vote because they got a black policy for you? What are they doing to make sure that they're doing everything in their power to make it easier for you to vote and that they're not throwing roadblocks in the way to intentionally keep you from voting or to steal your vote? And here's the thing. Can I say this for you, for those who can hear me, for those of you that understand? Black family, have you noticed that you're the only ones that's around here being moral and upright and trying to follow all the rules and regulations when it comes down to voting and stuff and your expectations of America? But meanwhile, she's cheating, from Donald Trump to your judges on down. You're the only one that's following the rules because the rules are made for you. See, your lawmakers are your lawbreakers. Somebody talk black to me. Have you noticed that you're the only one that cares about those rules that they make? Somebody said that Roland Martin says that we need to support the Democratic Party because Trump's second term will stack the Supreme Court. Watch this. No disrespect to Roland Martin, but we do know that Roland Martin, this is no exaggeration. Please, family, Google this, look this up. There's footage of this out there. He literally buck danced with the white supremacist presidential candidate. Not hypothetically speaking. He literally got on stage and started buck dancing with Hillary Clinton. Roland Martin ended up losing his job at CNN, at least in part related to the fact that he was cheating, trying to sneak her campaign folk a question in advance. How many of you all remember the sister that also worked at CNN? She's now on Fox News. Roland was involved in that cheating scam. Roland was let go from CNN. That's one of the reasons they have an issue with him, and he's been trying to get back on there ever since. Did you all hear what I just said? The reason I mentioned that is because Roland is one of those bootlicks. Roland Martin, I had an issue with Roland Martin a long time ago because Roland Martin literally cussed us out because of how we decided to vote or not to vote. He literally went on his show and called black folks simple Simon MFers. God knows that's what he said. Roland Martin repeatedly cussed out black folks and called us simple Simon MFers, but he said the word. Because of our own political strategies. He called us out of our names. This is an issue that I have with him. He only cussed us out like that in order to impress white folk. Because it seemed clear to me, in my strong belief, that he was just concerned about trying to get a job with one of their administrations and get on, at the very least, with their campaign. And at every turn, every single one of them rejected him. He was trying to show that he has some kind of an influence over black folks, and he's proven to have absolutely none. You don't get to cuss out black folk on a regular basis and call us simple Simon MFers and think you're not going to get this work from Vicky. All because you sitting up here having an allegiance to a white supremacist individuals and systems. Somebody talk black to me. Did you all hear what I said? Cynthia is right. Lassie. Somebody talk black to me. Lassie. You're not going to boss black folk around and tell us to just accept crumbs anymore. We're at war and we're acting like it. Now, in terms of this point about being fearful that the Republicans are packing the courts with right-wing judges, they are trying to do that. And they are putting quite a few of these hacks on the bench. But my unjust rulings that came in my civil cases as an activist, and my unjust rulings that I received in terms of this unjust criminal case, and your black family members and loved ones that receive unjust sentences, many of you received them before Trump got in office and before Mitch McConnell's funny looking self started to stack the courts with a whole bunch of right wingers. The white female prosecutors that were involved in my case, ultimately. The white female judge that was involved in my case. The white females that were prevalent all throughout, and white men, of course, too, but specifically white women that were representing the so-called justice systems. They were the ones that put the hammer down on me. They were the ones that were ugly and tried to break the law as it relates to Vicky and to violate my constitutional rights at different points throughout my trial. I need somebody black talk black to me. And they were considered to be Democrats or nonpartisan individuals. In addition to that, I have said that if the Democrats would properly put forward a viable and substantive black economic policy to begin to mobilize its base to drive high voter turnout, which would include us if we believed our interest was respected, that would be a good thing. And we would continue to push to ensure that it would not only be a Democratic president in the White House, but if they pushed a little harder and gained a few more seats in the Senate, they now control the House of Representatives. How would it be if they control both the House of Representatives and the Senate and the White House, like we did briefly in Obama's initial administration, right? If we control both houses of Congress and the White House, we would have the ability to not only possibly add one more Supreme Court justice, even though it hadn't been done before, but there's no provision, my understanding, based on some of the legal experts I've listened to, my understanding is they might be able to actually put forth a statute, Congress, where a Democratic president can sign off on it. Number one, to add an additional Supreme Court justice. So that way they wouldn't constantly have this 5-4 right-wing rulings all the time, so that you can ensure that the bench is a bit more fair. In addition, because they're Congress and they're the ones that make statutes that even judges are bound by, especially if the language is not discretionary, they could possibly put new term limits. They can make additional provisions before certain federal judges can be placed on the bench. And they can also put forward an extraordinary number of judges that they would want to help balance out the number of judges that Mitch McConnell and the Republicans have already put out there. There are other unique ways and things that they can do if they're able to control both houses of Congress. They can push that through, and they can get a Republican president, a Democratic president to sign off on it. But you can only do that when you've pleased your faithful base. And because they have failed to please your faithful black base, you're stuck. And we don't care nothing about that. Somebody just said in the chat, you got to stand for something. So vote, please. Sis, please watch all of the Vicky show. We're no longer slaves. If you're just coming in and if you happen to miss the rest of my show, please watch the rest of it so that you can be informed before making that statement. Somebody saying that in the comment sections, we're slaves no more. We are standing for something by standing back. You missed the part. You had to have missed the part when I said, just like Dr. Martin Luther King and them engaged in a form of civil disobedience. This is a type of civil disobedience for us. Somebody talk black to me. Because we've been catching hell. Haven't black folks been consistently voting as long as we could? Didn't we die to vote, and everybody that could vote in large numbers? A large majority of black folks have always voted. Not everybody, but a large numbers. Is that right, family? What have we gotten? I need only the intelligent black people to answer that question. We're slaves no more. We don't mind differing opinion, but we're not going to advocate voting if they are refusing to have a black economic agenda. We're saying no tangibles, no vote. Period. Not whoever the Democratic candidate is. We don't care whoever the Democratic candidate is. If that Democratic candidate is not talking about a black policy, we are not voting. Somebody talk black to me. Now, if you want to go out there and do it, fine. That's you. We're saying what we're not going to do. And we won't be intimidated as intelligent black people. Intelligent black people. But I'm not going to stop there. You know how black folks love to say, your ancestors died for this, your ancestors died for that. Let me tell you something. You all believe that W.E.B. Du Bois was an ancestor, right? Even though W.E.B. Du Bois talked down on Marcus Garvey, the Honorable Marcus Garvey, for a while. Do you all know that there was a lot of black bootlicks in the early 20th century that talked down on our black revolutionaries, the ones that we love today? How many of you all know that a lot of folks didn't want to listen to the Honorable Elijah Muhammad when he was telling you all and demonstrating how to own your own banks like the Nation of Islam did years ago? Had businesses and companies to the tune of tens of millions of dollars. Had their own media outlet. Had their own stores, their own businesses, owned their own schools and stuff. How many of you all know that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad told you that your open enemy won't change? And that the best thing that black folk can do is to separate themselves from their open enemy instead of trying to integrate with them. How many of you all know that nobody wanted to listen to him? Nobody really wanted to listen to a lot of the stuff that Malcolm X was saying, who his teacher was the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. They liked his fire boy, didn't they? But they didn't like the tenets that they stood for black liberation. Is that right, family? Watch this. Thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up. Watch this. Hit that notification bell, family. Keep liking and sharing. Watch this. I'm almost done. We love, just know that there was bones and biscuits back then too. Did you all know that the Honorable Marcus Garvey, did you all know that it was a lot of black bootlicks from the NAACP on down to some of your most famous and your most revered? Some of your black heroes, they were the very ones that started a campaign called Garvey Must Go. Did you all know that some of them worked with the feds in order to try to take our brother down? Did you all know that? All because he believed that black liberation should be done for black people, by black people. Marcus Garvey didn't allow a whole bunch of white folks in his organization and stuff. And he raised millions back then. Watch this. Well, we know that W.E.B. Du Bois, my understanding, showed some regret for his part in disrespecting the Honorable Marcus Garvey. But W.E.B. Du Bois still contributed some things that were beneficial to the Black community. I think that we can agree on that to some extent, right? As a scholar, W.E.B. Du Bois said this in The Nation. How many of y'all heard about The Nation publication? He wrote October 20th of 1956. W.E.B. Du Bois wrote a piece in The Nation entitled, somebody say this is an ancestor. Somebody say W.E.B. Du Bois is revered. W.E.B. Du Bois is considered to be an ancestor, right? He wrote this piece for The Nation in 1956. Do you want to know the title of the piece he wrote in 1956? I'll let you read it for yourself. Can you see that? What does it say? What is the title of what your ancestor said right there? Can you all see the title of that, Black family? Can you all see the title? Let me read it for you. W.E.B. Du Bois, 1956, October 20th. Why I won't vote. Ooh-wee! Somebody talk Black to me. In 1956, someone many of you consider to be an ancestor, intelligent, and who made his mark on the world. Shout out to our moderator. She put the link in the chat. She starts it by saying receipts. Somebody talk Black to me. That's all we know. Somebody say for the record. Somebody say for the record. Somebody say for the record. W.E.B. Du Bois wrote for The Nation in a publication. He didn't keep it secret. Why I won't vote. Listen to a little excerpt of this. This is the place for intelligent Black people. So Black family, I want you to have this link of my show always ready. And I want you to have the link that's available in the chat if you're watching us on flynubianqueentv.com. Have that link ready so that you can provide it to anybody that says what your ancestors died for. You better go sit your funny looking self down somewhere. October 1956, W.E.B. Du Bois delivers this eloquent indictment of U.S. politics while explaining to nation readers why he won't vote in the upcoming presidential election. Somebody say he sounds like me. Shout out to you, Eugene Roberts, for your gift. I bless it 1,000-fold. Thank you for supporting Black media. Listen. Du Bois condemns both Democrats and Republicans for their indifferent positions on the influence of corporate wealth, racial inequality, arms proliferation, and unaffordable health care. Somebody, doesn't it sound like our exact issues we're having today? For the record. Somebody say for the record. If you've got a problem, I'm giving you your talking points, Black family, for those that would try to vote and shame us. For the Black elite that's connected to other Black folks that's connected to the establishment. Don't ask us about no CNN or MSNBC or Fox News. Say, do you know about the Vicky Show on flynubianqueentv.com? Somebody say, what you know about that channel? What you know about that network? What you know about that show? On the Vicky Show, Vicky Dillard revealed to us that if you've got a problem with our political strategy of not voting, then that means you have a problem with the Black ancestor. Somebody talk Black to me. Did y'all hear what I said? Jermaine said, I love me some Vicky Dillard. Somebody talk black to me. I love me. I love you back. Did y'all hear what I said? All you need to do before you even go in on them, and they say something crazy like that, they try to vote shame you and tell you, no, just say to you, say what you say, what do you think about the ancestor? Don't tell him what he did, didn't do. Just say what you think about W.E.B. Du Bois, aside from his tripping out with the great honorable Marcus Garvey and stuff, but overall for Black society, what do you think about him? And when they start bragging about how he's so eloquent and all of the contributions he's made to Black society and all of this kind of stuff, then I want you to pull this receipt. And notice that W.E.B. Du Bois, he could have made a personal decision to keep it to himself. He could have said, well, I'm just not going to vote. He could have just not told nobody, right? He made it public. He did a whole publication in a well-known political publication. He made it public because he knew about influence. Somebody say, for the record, shout out to you, Benny X, for your gift. I bless it 1,000-fold, 1,200 plus of you in the chat. Thumbs up, keep liking and sharing. I'm almost finished. Listen to a little bit of what else he said in his piece, family. He says, since I was 21 in 1889. He says, since I was 21 in 1889, I have followed in theory followed the voting plan strongly, advocated by Sidney Lynch in the Nation of August 4th, i.e. voting for a third party even when its chances were hopeless. You all see he was dealing with third parties even then. Listen. He says if the main parties were unsatisfactory or in the absence of a third choice, voting for the lesser of two evils. My action, however, had to be limited by the candidate's attitude toward Negroes. He says, of my adult life, I have spent 23 years living and teaching in the South, where my voting choice was not asked. I was disenfranchised by law or administration. Somebody say it sounds like me. In the North, I lived in all 32 years, covering 8 presidential elections. Shout out to you, Deidre. In 1912, I wanted to support Theodore Roosevelt, but his Bull Moose Convention dodged the Negro problem, and I tried to help elect Wilson as a liberal Southerner. Under Wilson came the worst attempt at Jim Crow legislation and discrimination in civil service that we had experienced since the Civil War. Y'all listen. Watch this. In 1916, I took Hughes as the lesser of two evils. He promised Negroes nothing and kept his word. Lord have mercy. Can we just adopt that language right there for us in 2020? What did our ancestor W.E.B. Du Bois tell us? What did he tell us, family? What did he say right there? See, I'm talking to intelligent Black people. What did he tell us, family? I took Hughes. He said in 1916. What year is it right now? 2020. How many years ago is that? 104 years ago? Is that 104 years ago? He said, I took Hughes as the lesser of two evils. He promised Negroes nothing and kept his word. They're promising us nothing, and they've kept their word. Somebody say it's a new day. Our idea of tangibles or nothing sounds like the ancestors are speaking through us. Somebody talk Black to me. You're not going to get this kind of talk from MSNBC, ABC, CBS, NBC, Fox News, or CNN. You said it right. Lavanette, if I'm saying your name right. They promised Negroes nothing, and they kept their word. Shout out to you, Silent D Productions. Keep listening. Keep listening. They like to talk about what our ancestors died for. Listen to what the ancestors said. See, you see how people like to pick and choose stuff from the past? That's why it's your job to inform yourself, to read, so that you will know. The fact that we've been voting in 1980s and 1990s mean we've been behind schedules when our ancestors was telling us, giving us a word from the 50s that this thing was rigged. Keep listening. In 1920, I supported Harding because of his promise to liberate Haiti. In 1924, I voted for La Follette, excuse me. Hopefully I pronounced it right. Although I knew he could not be elected. In 1928, Negroes faced absolute dilemma. Neither Hoover nor Smith wanted the Negro vote, and both publicly insulted us. Somebody say, sounds like us. I voted for Norman Thomas and the Socialists. The Socialists had attempted to Jim Crow Negro members in the South. Somebody said, didn't Bernie call himself a Democratic Socialist? He said he had problems with them too. It's a different kind of socialist, but I'm just making the point. Even the fringe parties that claim to be good for everybody, we find that when it comes down to the specific Negro, they got problems with us too. Keep listening. In 1932, I voted for Franklin Roosevelt since Hoover was unthinkable and Roosevelt's attitude towards workers were workers most realistic. I was again in the South from 1934 until 1944. Technically, I could vote, but the election in which I could vote was a farce. Lord, have mercy. Shout out to you, AJ, for your gift. AJ says the rise of the Black Queen is a must. You're very right, beloved. Thank you for your kind words and your gift and support of the new Black media. Are y'all listening? Jonathan says, I'm getting my exercise in. Vicky got me running around my living room. Beloved, I'm glad that you're able to do it at home, beloved. Thumbs up, thumbs up. Listen, y'all. By the way, those of you just tuning in, my name is Vicky Dillard. I'm typically live weekdays, 6:30 p.m. Eastern time on FlyNubianQueenTV.com. Don't forget the TV part. Some of my podcast airs on FlyNubianQueen.com on Facebook, where we have 550,000 subscribers there. And also my shows are also played in other platforms as well. So make sure that you like and that you share, family. Listen, watch this. He goes on to say, the real election was the white primary. Retired for age, he says that in quotes, in 1944, I returned to the North and found a party to my liking. In 1948, I voted the progressive ticket. In 1948, I voted the progressive ticket for Henry Wallace. And in 1952, for Vince Hallinan. In 1956, I shall not go to the polls. Listen to what he said. After y'all see, he gave us the long breakdown, didn't he? He told us year after year after year. He says under 8 presidents. So this is not a capricious conclusion he came to. This was a conclusion that an intelligent Black man came. An intelligent Black man that probably remembered that he himself acted like he was a butter biscuit for a while. Somebody talk Black to me. He himself probably found himself disrespecting other Black folk that had long acknowledged that America's systems was a trick and that she meant us no good, and she refuses to even advocate for us, and she openly and publicly humiliates us. Somebody talk Black to me. He realized that he was a butter biscuit for a minute. His words, not mine. I'm directly quoting from the article from 1956 from our dear brother, W.E.B. Du Bois. This is one of the ancestors that they all tell us died for us to vote. Thumbs up, thumbs up. I'm going to quote him again. In 1956, I shall not go to the polls, period. That's a whole sentence right there. That's one sentence he wrote. He says, I have not registered. I believe that democracy has so far disappeared in the United States that no two evils exist. Watch this. He said, no two evils exists. There is but one evil party with 2 names, and it will be elected despite all I can do or say. I'm going to hit that note in the same way Obama hit that a note when he was singing Amazing Grace. How many of you all know that that's all we got from Obama for 8 years. We got 8 years of entertainment. Don't make me start asking for the piano up in here and the organ. Don't make me ask y'all to put some treble clefs and some music notes up in here. Y'all know what I'm getting ready to say, don't you? Y'all know what I'm getting ready to say, don't you? My black family, my black family with Fly Dubin Queen TV, they know where we can finna go with this. Obama gave the gay folk, the gay LGBTQ community a whole law. Shout out to you, LaShawn, for your gift. He gave immigrants a law, meaning people who are not citizens. People, many of them who broke the law, they got a law in America. How do you do that? The people who are the foundational black Americans can't get a law, but people who violated the law to get here, they got something through Congress in America. Lord have mercy. Under Obama. White folk has always ended up benefiting from his entire 8 years in office, right, family? I said that black folks didn't get nothing. But I had to concede that we did get something from Obama. What did we get, black family? What did we get, FlyNewBeanQueenTV.com? We did get something from Obama. It wasn't no tangibles, but we got something from him. What did we get, family? I'm waiting for y'all to tell me. Shout out to you, AJ, for your gift. Some of my other family may not know how we do this. Y'all remember when Obama finally showed up to the memorial for those of our family that were slain at Mother Emanuel's church, the 9 that were slain? Dylan Roof, who they said was responsible for the murder of our ancestors at that black AME church. How many of you all know that Obama wasn't showing up or crying for no other black person that died? Remember, his administration came up under a lot of pressure because he was not showing any outrage for black death. But he got choked up when them little white kids in Connecticut got blowed up. Shot up when they were killed. And so people began to call him out for doing nothing for black folks. So he showed up to that little memorial there. Y'all remember that? And he gave black folk. He finally gave us something. How many of you all know what he did when Obama showed up to that? Amen. Come on, black family. Sing grace. Y'all play too much. How sweet. Didn't he start singing? We got that. Black folks start jumping up and shouting. He started playing basketball. The brothers got excited because he could shoot hoops. And the sisters got excited because he hit that note. Somebody say that ain't enough no more. Somebody talk black to me. We say no more crumbs. That's right, Mia. Thumbs up, thumbs up. I'm almost done. Listen. What else did our brother say? Who are we talking about now? Our ancestor, W.E.B. Du Bois. We want to shut down anybody that would try to voter shame us. We want to let them know that they're disrespecting our intelligent elders because they gave us the blueprint. They gave us the receipts and told us about the system being rigged. And we didn't change up how the system was being played. And if some of you, let me tell you something. Some of you maybe haven't recognized that if they're going to rig the system, if they're going to rig the game, maybe you need to learn how to do the same when it comes down to them pimping black people politically and taking advantage of us. You're not dealing with the righteous people. You're dealing with people that steal, kills, and destroys. Who do you know have 3 attributes? You're dealing with the people that steal, kills, and destroys. Back to this article from The Nation, written in October of 1956 from W.E.B. Du Bois. Somebody say an ancestor. Watch this. Let me skip down because it's a long article. I want you to hear this last part that I read to you again because I thought it was powerful. After he says, in 1956, I shall not go to the polls. I have not registered. Let me skip down. He says, I believe that democracy has so far disappeared in the United States that no 2 evils exist. There is but one evil party with 2 names. and it will be elected despite all I can do or say. Watch this. Let me skip down. I'm gonna skip all the way down because he gives so many details. He's talking about even Khrushchev. He's talking about other things that were taking place in 1956. He's talking about America's record. Y'all look who else he's talking about. Look who else he's talking about. Yet if we protest, off the nation goes, he says, yet if we protest, off the nation goes to Russia and China. Isn't that what we're dealing with today, family? Lord have mercy. Aren't these two power nations some of the same mess we're dealing with today? Let me skip. 55 American ministers and philanthropists are asking the Soviet Union to face manfully the doubts and promptings of their conscience. Cannot these do-gooders face their own consciences? Oh, he's giving them the business. Let me skip down. I told you I was skipping to the end, right? He says, is the answer the election of 1956? After he makes the points about how sick and terrible America and the world, the condition of the world is in terms of its governance. Listen, he said, we can make a sick man president and set him to a job which would strain a man in robust health. So he dies. And what do we get to lead us? With Stevenson and Nixon, with Eisenhower and Eastland, we remain in the same mess. I will be no party to it. And that will make little difference. You will take large part and bravely march to the polls. And that also will make no difference. Lord, this is not just Vicky. It's not the radical elements of the new black media and the black grassroots, which is us collectively. The ancestor from 1956, who was deeply political and came to this decision after voting for 8 presidents. Watch this. What did he say, y'all? He says, you will take large part and bravely march to the polls. Don't it sound like us? Doesn't it sound like the ones that's trying to voter shame us? He's voter shaming you. Lord, that's good. W.E.B. Du Bois is speaking to you. Those who would try to shame us, he is shaming your funny looking selves. He says you will take large part. Now, don't forget, he had previously to the sentence before that, he said he'll take no part. But he said, but you will take large part and bravely march to the polls. And that also will make no difference. Stop running Russia and giving Chinese advice when you cannot rule ourselves decently. Doesn't it sound like us today? Stop yelling about a democracy we do not have. Woo! My God, today. Democracy is dead in the United States, yet there is still nothing to replace real democracy. Drop the chains then that binds our brains. Lord have mercy. Haven't we said on the Vicky Show for a long time, hashtag the big black brain? Haven't the Dr. Boises of the world tell you that this is a space for intelligent black people? Somebody talk black to me. I'm almost finished. He says, drive the money changers from the seats of the cabinet and the halls of Congress. Call back some faint spirit of Jefferson and Lincoln. And when again, we can hold a fair election on real issues. That's his words, not mine. That's why we gave you the link for the receipt so that you can see the article he wrote in 1956 for yourself. Because we believe in for the record here on the Vicky Show. Watch this. Listen. Call back, he says, the faint spirit of Jefferson and Lincoln. And when again, we can hold a fair election on real issues, let's vote. And not till then. Is this impossible? Then democracy in America is impossible. I have nothing else to add to that, black family. He's getting the last word on the Vicky Show today. W.E.B. Du Bois. Make sure that you share this link with the Democratic Party. Make sure that you share this link with your black bootlicks who tries to shame us. We don't want to be ugly and mean-spirited. But we say, give us free. We're free-thinking black people. Please make sure that you text the word Queens to 31996. Follow me on Instagram at Vicky X Dillard. I came to you in peace. I leave you in the same manner. Thank you so much. It is my bliss to come before you, black family. Thank you, Facebook, for joining the Vicky Show. Subscribe to flytothequeen.com.